Good evening, gladiators. We who are about to play salute you. Welcome to another edition of Oli Plays, and more specifically, another edition of the Ultima series, where I'm playing Ultima II, also known as the Second Age of Darkness, I believe. No, Revenge of the Enchantress. Ultima 1 was the first Age of Darkness, and this is the sequel, of course, made in 1982 by Richard Garriott, also known as Lord British. Now, with a lot of these games, I'm of course going into them blind, having either played them for a couple of minutes or not at all. So you'll have to bear with me as we play this game. From what I gather, the controls are very similar to Ultima 1, so I'm sure we'll be fine. We can bumble around in the dark like all good adventures anyway. Alright, let's get into it. So Ultima 2, 1983 in fact, not 1982. So after the success of Ultima 1, which sold I believe over 50,000 copies, Richard Garriott was doing very well for himself. But unfortunately his old publisher, California Pacific, was not. They went out of business, and so he decided to go and search for a new publisher. Now, even though the game was very successful, he couldn't seem to find one, but eventually Sierra Online, best known for the King's Quest series, and of course Space Quest, Police Quest, later on Heroes Quest, and many other wonderful adventure games, which I really miss. I thought they were a wonderful company. They agreed to publish Ultima 2, and so he sat down to write this big expansive sequel to his first hit game. Now, Richard had programmed the original game in BASIC, but he decided to go cold turkey and learn a new programming language for it. And he really went hardcore, because he learned machine language, so zeros and ones and ones and zeros, which means you're really getting right down to the depths of the computer and talking to it without a layer of abstraction that a language like BASIC or most modern programming languages give you. So incredibly complicated way to make a game, but that's just how it was done back then, and doing that also gave him a lot more control over the game and allowed it to run a lot better, I believe. So this version we're playing does look pretty old compared to the version of Ultima that I played in the last video, so this might not be the enhanced one. Let's see, create a new character. I choose C. Right, get over there. Correct. Alright. As always, you can create your character with strength points. So, am I... Right, so you actually have to type in the numbers here. So I put a lot into strength. Okay, so I'm leaving very little. Hang on, let's get that. 40, 30, 20, so this right away is kind of clunky, because it does require you to be a little mathematical in how you distribute the points, and it makes you just do it again and again until you get it right. So let's go 40, that's 50, 40 points left, 10, 10, 10, 10, great. Male, human, so we've still got, so they've got hobbits now instead of bobbits. So I know in future versions of Ultima he basically had to get rid of all that, because as the game was becoming more and more commercially popular, and as the industry was growing up, they had to be a bit more serious about copyright infringements and so on. Let's go human, fighter, as we did in the last game, and let's go with Sir Belgrave, the great hero of the Swords and Sandals series, or one of the heroes, of course. Satisfactory? You bet. Well, okay, so there was some kind of title screen there which we seemed to miss because it was running quite quickly. I'm using DOSBox for this. Whoa, so this is old school, and this is not the older remake. Notice the colors, just the 4 colors, and that is of course known as CGA, or color graphics adapter, and this is going to show my age because this is in fact the kind of machine and game that I grew up with, except the computer we first had 4 shades of orange. And it looked kind of cool because for games like this, you had a brown, a yellow, and a sort of a slightly more orangey yellow. But the color screens had this awful default state of like cyan, magenta, and I think there's yellow there, but God, I hate it. I thought it was awful. And so I was actually happier with my monochrome colors. So we're walking around. This seems bleak. Now we're no longer in Sosaria in this game, which was of course the continent from Ultima 1. We're in fact on planet Earth. Now the music in the background that you're hearing is not in fact from the game. It's just a YouTube video that I'm playing in the background, which is using music from Ultima Online. And I thought, why not? It's very fitting for a game like this. So, who's this interesting stranger? Attack. Invalid move. So he's following me and I'm not super happy about that. Is he attacking me? Yeah, he is. Weirdly enough, this game, it's not real time, but if you stand there, you get hit. So maybe it is some kind of real time, which is kind of outrageous. Attack. Miss. Hit. So it's funny to play this game and it not be as advanced as the one I played before, which was of course an advanced version of it. So it's all very confusing, but we are on planet Earth for Ultima 2. And the story is that the evil Enchantress, Minax, seeks revenge for her dead lover's slaying at the hands of the stranger in Ultima 1, who of course stopped the evil wizard from finding the... oh, there's a moongate. Can we enter the moongate? Oh, it disappeared. This is tough in real time. Now, I need to find the entrance to somewhere. I've got to say, this is really jarring and kind of not great. Not great to play at all. Well, there's a moongate. Enter moongate? Okay, so we've gone through the moongate. Moongates are in fact some kind of like Stonehenge sort of portals that allow you to travel around the world. And they're a hallmark of many of the Ultima games, and in future ones will certainly dictate the fate of the players. Now, one really great thing about the Ultima games, which I believe started in, if not Ultima 1, Ultima 2 certainly had, were cloth maps, and these were just wonderful, wonderful additions to the game. You'd open the box, a big oversized box, and you take out this huge map of this fantasy world that had temples and towns and roads and forests and little monsters on there, and runes which would be hard to decipher but would tell you the names of secret places of the world. And as a kid, I thought that was wonderful. I didn't buy my first Ultima game until I was about, I don't know, I'm going to say I think about 10 or 11 maybe, but my good friend Greg Wee, who's the inspiration for Sir Belgrave, and a good friend of mine, he in fact had an Apple II and owned Ultima 4, and we played a ton of it, or he played and I watched, and so I really got into it, but I never had it on my own computer. But I loved the box art of it, and even the box art for these early Ultimas are pretty cool. It feels very much like an album cover. So let's enter this, what looks to be a dungeon. Oh no, it's a castle, cool. Oh, this is a scary little castle. What is that? Talk? Transact. So again, they don't have the talk button, which is a bit weird. Can you look? You can, L is launch, but not look, and that's really odd to me. And this game did have a lot of wonderful conventions, but in my mind, that's not one of them. LB, Lord British's castle, of course. Very dramatic music from Ultima Online. Mess hall, the chapel. Can you contact that person? Fight out. Ah, me tough. Maybe when you do T... Okay, so, sorry. When you do talk to someone, T transact is also T talk, but you get a line of text. Pay your taxes! Now, I've got a feeling that something is a little off with my port, because I don't believe that the original had this sort of constant. See how it's passing? the turns. I don't think that's meant to happen. Anyway, it's fine. Hey, who could this be? Lord British, of course. He said something. This is tough. So Belgrave first, he wants a tribute. That's hardly noble. Don't have that much. Wow. British. Didn't I save you before? How dare you demand tribute from your servant? And that's one hilarious thing about Ultima is this. Constantly the Avatar is saving the day, but Lord British is this sort of immortal character who cannot die, and you can drag a cannon up to him and blast him and he won't die. You hit him with a glass sword and he won't die. But yet he insists on sending you through the Black Gate, or to fight the gargoyles, or to defeat the Shadow Lords, or wherever it is. So, okay, get out of there. How do we get off this island? Well, there's a moongate. I'm sort of trapped on this island until the moongate disappears. Ah, there it is. Through the moongate. Gotta say, not loving Ultima 2 at all. I think, again, if I had played it at the time, I would have probably been quite into it. But it just feels a little more basic than the later Ultimas, and even the remade Ultima 1. And there's something about it that just feels a bit off. But you know, that's just me. It is one of the classic role-playing games, or you know, the beginnings of the classic role-playing game series. I believe this game also features, whoa, saved by magical boots. What? Paralyzed. This thing's doing some real damage to us. Whatever that is. Paralyzed. Damn, doing some real damage. Let's run away from him. Stuck on this island. Yeah, so this game, I believe, featured Lord British, and of course his friends Yolo and Shamino. Now Shamino was Lord British's, or Richard Garriott's other alter ego, and I believe he was a ranger. And he came up with that name, which is a funny story when he, oh, go away, stop bothering me when I'm trying to tell an old greybeard story. But Lord British came up with a story, the name Shamino, when he was riding his bike and he saw the name of the gears on the bike were Shimano, and he thought that was a cool name, and so he changed it to Shamino. So there's a bit of trivia which Ultima fans will probably know, but you may not or may not care. Look, this is a mess. This is becoming a real, it's 3-on-1. I've got so many hit points, but I'm not having that much fun with it. So I think we're going to call it quit. Exit, what? Exit, quit, exit. Tell you what, exit this. Bam. So that was my experience with Ultima 2. That was the first time I loaded it up, and I was expecting, I think, at least the remake version with better color and a little more modern conveniences. But I got the original experience, which I guess I was hoping for when I did this series, when I first came up with the series. Yeah. Now, I reckon many of you probably have very fond memories of Ultima 2, and I don't want to rain on that parade, because I know there are certainly games that I love that I will defend to the death. And I think, you know, if you love this game, let me know why in the comments, and let me know what I'm missing. Next up will be the third part of the original Ultima trilogy, Ultima 3, which, if it's anything like 2, will be probably quite a short video. I'll probably do it straight after this, actually, while I'm on a roll. I want to get to the Avatar trilogy, which is 4, 5, and 6, and they're the ones that I really love. And of course 7, 8, and 9. If you are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe, and, you know, do all the great things of sharing with your friends and writing comments, because, you know, I really do appreciate it. As I keep saying, it's wonderful to build up a bit of a community and share my thoughts with you, and also just sort of record them for posterity, because it's going to be fun in years to come to look back at this before I'm too old to forget these classic games, which were such a part of my childhood. Either games I played or games that I'd heard so much about. Until next time, happy adventuring, and bye for now.